Good morning and welcome to Equity Story Trade Watch, the 13th of September, Wednesday, middle of the week. I'm on my own, so welcome. And we're going to go through today, just looking, of course, at the usual, see what happened last night, see if there's any news around, see what's driving the markets, and anything else we can find out. We'll probably have a look at our watch list as well, because it hasn't been a great start today. Before we start, the disclaimer right in front of you. It's pretty much exactly as every time we do a Trade Watch video. General advice only. Every stock we look at is based on the fundamentals and technicals only. All right, so without further ado, let's look at some of the stuff that possibly happened overnight. So we had the pretty weak markets, really. Nasdaq was down 1%, driven by, I think, by Oracle and some other stocks out there. So fairly red across the board. Dow was fairly steady, not much movement there. S&P was down 0.5%. So a negative day, but it wasn't anything untoward, wasn't anything crazy that's driving the market. Really, we're still waiting for the key piece of news, which is tonight at 10:30. That's the CPI out of the US. I mean, if you look at anything else that might have been maybe driving us negatively, I think maybe the China rebound has been short-lived. Other than that, if you look at the markets, what actually happened, and again, I'm just referring you to Market Index, which is a free service you can have a look at for yourself every morning. Yeah, I mean, it's steady as she goes at the end of the day. There was just nothing outlandish that would drive the markets up or down significantly. Other than, I think the only other tidbits of information I can pick up from what I've been reading this morning is that the inflation is probably still going to be around for some time, but I think the general consensus, and I think they're talking about from the major US banks, is the tightening cycle is over for the interest rate. So at least that's good news. All right, so let's have a look at the actual trading economics now, and we're going to have a look at, like I said, the 10:30 news tonight, which is in the US. The inflation numbers, the core inflation is going to come out. Yesterday, we had at 10:30 in the morning, we had the Westpac consumer confidence, which just shows you it's dropping and dropping and dropping. And again, I've seen some evidence, anecdotal evidence, that there are certainly a slowdown. The interest rates are biting now, right? So you can see that you, mum and dads, you, me, whoever, are just putting down the spending a bit. You know, when you've got that period now of interest rates at 4%, you're probably going to start tightening your belt when you're thinking that this might stay in here for a little bit of time. So you just have to probably replan, rebudget, and this is what happens. That is the function of, you know, a higher interest rate environment that we're used to. I mean, it's still not high historically, but it's much higher than we've been used to. We've been used to zero interest rates. So, you know, there's some maybe at the lower end of the scale when it comes to, you know, income and so on. Those people are, you know, probably hurting the most. That's why there's that push to rein in some spending. And you can see that, we can see the consumer confidence. You can see some of the retailers talking about that things are slowing down. So we just got to be careful of that. So if we ever trading anything where we're investing into it, you know, when the signs are there, you got to take heed. If the charts are telling you to sell, you've got to get out. Simple as that. But of course, not everything's created equal. So there'll be some pockets where it's still probably going to be okay. So let's look at some commodities as well, just to see exactly if there's anything that's rocking my boat this morning. I think I saw crude is now at 88.97. So that's still looking very, very good. So we're going to have a look at some maybe oil stock to see where they are at the moment, because that is still a positive space. So is uranium still looking actually very good. Actually, uranium up another, I think, $1.50, I think. So $62.10 now. So if you look at, I'll put this on a bar, so a candle chart, and I'll put it on a 5-year. There you go. That's looking very good for uranium. I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot. Put it on a weekly. I think it's probably, yeah, maybe look. It doesn't matter. It's looking pretty good, right? It is very, very, very good. On a weekly, it's actually looking pretty good. So I think there's something there for the uranium buffs to still keep going with this. So again, we're going to look at the oil and gas stocks and uranium stocks. What else is going quite well? So I think coal's okay. Nothing, Nothing. Well, it had a bit of a bounce. So let's have a look at it. I mean, it has a bit of a bounce, but nothing too crazy. So I don't think there's going to be too much trading going on there. Lithium's actually dropping down. So that's the heat is coming out of lithium again. So just be wary. Let's have a look at that chart. There you go. It's going back again. So that looks not great for the lithium stories. That's why maybe it's not easy to trade there at the moment. I wouldn't get too excited. And last one, let's look at iron ore, which is now at 120. So you can look at that. It's actually breaking out, going higher. Probably wants to, if it gets over 120, maybe it wants to then trade 130, which is unbelievable because China really is a little bit of a basket case right now with its economy and so on. Yet there is that pushing off the iron ore narrative. I don't even know where it's coming from, to be honest, but so be it. And again, you know, just because we're not sure, it doesn't mean we can't trade it because there's other forces, there's stuff we don't know that maybe is driving this. So we're just going with the flow like we always do, right? We're trying to educate ourselves most of the time, but if we don't know, that's okay. Let's move on to the next one. And that will be, let me see if there's anything else in that I can find that's looking quite good for the week, but it isn't. All right, so let's move on to the new screen now. I'm going to have a quick look at some announcements. We're going to look at some of these oil and gas stocks and some of the uranium stocks, and maybe we can take it and see what's cooking. All right, so first of all, let's have a look. Let's have a look at not the announcement, the actual oil and gas stock. So I think we go on a WDS first of all to see what's going on there. Is there a trade going on? Is it something that we can probably play with? And I'll put it on 1 year so you can see a little bit better. You can see there, it's okay, right? If you're in this, maybe for a dividend, no problems. You're obviously in this, right? For a trade, if you bought it maybe on this, you're probably maybe still in, maybe there's a case to buy it right now of this candle this week. I know it's fairly flattish at the end of the day, so maybe not too exciting. Let's have a look at Santos. What's going on there? That probably should be pretty similar actually. I thought it would be a little bit better, maybe pushing up back towards that $8 what we saw last week, which really looked good late last week, and then it sort of pulled back. So yeah, not looking that brilliantly. BPT. That's the four culprits we'll look at last week. We're going to revisit them again. Yeah, again, not doing too much. It's interesting because crude oil is actually going very, very well. Last one, Karoon. Let's look at that one. But if you find any other stories with a good chart, you can comfortably trade it. I mean, it's looking pretty good, right? And Karoon also not brilliant. So it's okay at the end of the day. But yeah, at least the oil is going okay. So if you do looking at a trade, you've got that big box ticked, right? All right, let's look at what I was going to look at. I was going to look at uranium, wasn't I? So let's look at our favorite, BOE. What's going on there? And that's still looking pretty good. But, you know, remember the market's having a little of a pullback today. So, you know, it's not easy in a negative market to still see some gains for the day, even though your commodity might be going okay. General tendency is to just sell with the flow, and the market selling off, you're probably going to take some profits on whatever you'll be doing. Remember, some of these like BOEs have gone very, very well, right? So no surprising, it's struggling slightly, but I can see the uranium price is still going quite well. Okay, so Paladin's going okay, right? Age is another one we looked at. So let's look at that one. So that was pretty good. Yep, there you go. And I think the other one we looked at, maybe DPLO. Let's look at that one. So you're still probably holding, maybe take a profit around the $1 for DPLO, right? And the Canary in the Coal Mine, CCI, which is Cameco in Canada. Let's have a look what they're doing. Yeah, very good. So at least that's going very, very well. So I'm still be confident with uranium stocks, even though there's a slight pullback. Maybe there's an opportunity to take a profit and go again, or just hold on and just reset for another week, right? For next week. All right, so let's look at iron ore stocks because $120, it's just crazy. So let's look at CAA, see what's going on there. And that's trying, not there quite yet. So no, we're not going to touch that one for the moment. Let's look at the big boys, the Rios and the BHPs, and then we'll look at FMG. Yeah, very similar, but at least it's, well, not quite there, is it? BHP, let's look at that one. Again, still not enough momentum in this story, so we can't trade these stories. If there's no momentum, we're not trading them. Let's look at FMG, and remember they've probably gone ex-div as well, so it's difficult to get enthused about them. There you go, fairly similar story. Okay, so really, I don't know. Oil and gas, yes. Uranium, yes, still. That's the one. That's what we're looking at. Let's look at some announcements. There wasn't too many announcements, I have to say. So I'm just going to go back and just have a quick look, and I'll show you the announcements just to see if there's anything that went after 10 o'clock to start this morning. So just getting a look through. No. So the three things were, so PGH, really a dog. It's what a poor performer it's been over since it relisted again. Pact Group, look at that. And I'll put it on a much longer time frame, 5 years. Oh, God. And so they're gone now, looking like they're going private again. Gaminda Group is buying it back, and I think they're offering 68 cents. Whoop-de-doodah, right? I mean, if you're in there, you'd be absolutely disappointed and angry. You shouldn't be there, of course, because you probably would have sold out there, which was in late 2021 if you were, and then it never touched it again since then, right? So that's been a real bad performer. So you should not be even touching that one. But it's anyway, a buyout, 68 cents. PGH. So next one is VA. I know that we talked about it yesterday on Ask the Analyst. Someone wasn't happy that they didn't release the announcement. Like I said, yesterday it was just a rumor flying in the papers. Today they confirmed that it's actually happening. So a big shareholder is selling more shares. They're going to drop it down to 30% of their total holdings, saying they're not going to sell anymore, but there's going to be a big block. And I think at 289, there you go. So went through at 289. To be honest, what an opportunity. What an opportunity to get in if you're looking for a dividend stock. It's still a great story. It's still one of the best downstream performers in Australia. So, yeah, long term. Let me put it on a monthly just so you can see. Yeah, absolutely. I'll be lapping this up in fact, I'll be probably putting this on for the weekly wrap this Friday as I get into this. You can probably bounce back within the next few days, weeks to where it was. I mean, yeah, these guys have been holding on for 5 years. That's when it's actually listed VEA. And they've decided to take some chips off the table, understandably, after 5 years. I mean, come on, you can't blame them. Someone else takes it, but 279, whoop-de-doodah. Just new shareholders in there. So yeah, take an opportunity as a buying opportunity. All right, last one. Let's look at BDM. So they had some news this morning. So I know this has been a hot stock. It's a Michael O'Keefe story, high risk. They come up with an update today. There hasn't been trading brilliantly. I think what is it up today? Just look at the daily, but much easier to see. So it's had a little bit of a bounce. It hasn't been great, I have to say. It's had a little bit of a bounce, but the announcement was, there's a bit of good and a bit of bad in that, right? So I'll actually bring it up so you can see for yourself what I mean by that. So, they're talking about the company sales, the quarterly diamond sales performance. So the company secured diamond sales of 90 million for quarter three, calendar year 2023 to date, as compared to 81 million for prior corresponding period in quarter three 2022, right? So that's good news. So that's 90 million more secured sales. Currently, the company has sold 784,000 carats in quarter three to date, as compared to 901 total carats sold in anything. So they sold less carats, but they've got more money, right? But what to me looks like they're talking about that there is a bit of a soft period right here. So I think there you go. Despite a softer than usual market. So they're just alluding to that at the moment. There's not a robust market for diamonds, but they're still doing okay. So for me, that's that's the positive was that they got a nice quarter under the belt. But in a tough market, which is not great, you want to see a good market in, when you invest into a company. But, that's the cyclicality of these things. While, the diamond businesses anyway are fairly opaque, and, the beers probably control most of it with the sales and so on. You're playing this Michael O'Keefe. You're not playing anything else, but you're playing Michael O'Keefe. And I think, again, there was a report yesterday showing you how things are going, right, with Carty and so on. So that's interesting read. Have a look at the presentation just to give you a bit of a clue what's going on. So, overall, you're still backing the man, but you should be out. If you're trading this, you should be out for the moment and come back to it when he gets back over the trend lines. And hopefully that will happen in the next few weeks. But right now it is struggling. And it just needs to, find a bit more feed. Maybe what it needs, because they only just recently, of course, purchased. They only just recently raised the money. It maybe will take 2 or 3 or 4 quarters for the market to get comfortable with the story and believe that this is genuine Michael O'Keefe, brilliant move, pretty much. So you just could take a few quarters before it to do so. But you're probably back over 22 if you're believing in Michael O'Keefe in this instance. All right, I think the last thing I'm going to have a quick look at is just to see the watch list, to see if there's anything going on that really caught my eye this morning. And from our stories that we're following at the moment a little bit closer than some others, I'm just trying to see if there's anything. So I think Metro, let's have a look at that one that we talked about. That's starting to look quite interesting, right? It's starting to, that swinging there. It just needs to get over that 2.5, really. That's going to be the tough bit. XRF, let's look at that. I wanted to buy this for sure. I just wanted to see a swing. So just waiting for that little swing to come through, the green little candle, and then I'm going to start getting in. So definitely watching that. Lindsay, LAU. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, that's holding. That's nice. That's still a hold. If you haven't taken any profits, you can. No problems. Let me see what else is that's looking good. So step one, I think we didn't talk about it the last couple of days, but it had a pretty big fall over this week. So, if you didn't take profits there, you missed the boat. You're back to square one, really, aren't we? Because you're buying it at a 50. So this is why you got to be very quick. If you're seeing a 10, 15% profit in a space of a week and a half, you're taking it, really. But if you haven't sold it yet, it's still a hold technically. And you take it, suppose from there, whether you want to hold on or not. It should really, the company said that they changing tack, looking at the positives. In other words, looking at the bottom line. They want to be profitable, focusing on that instead of growth. However, they'll probably have some growth, but it's more focused about profitability. So it could probably come back to that 50 cents and swing again over time, right? So that's probably the expectations there. Let me see if there's anything else that we follow. SNL is good. Just had a little bit of a pullback this week, but it's still looking pretty good. Ordinate, looking pretty good for a bounce of that 13, that capital raise. Aussie Broadband, actually, I will show you something because I was looking at Livewire, which again is a free service. That's looking a very good chart, I have to say. I think I have to buy that for the fund, to be honest. And AGL looking okay as well. It's holding on. That's fairly aggressive. Well, not aggressive, but a trend line that's looks like support now, isn't it? So that looks positive for me. I don't mind that at all. But I'll quickly show you that little article from Livewire. And let me just go back in here. And that will finish on that. So there's the Livewire article. So there was, I think, top 5 picks for one of the, I think, fund managers, right? So the 2 standouts they're talking about is John Nings. We like John Nings. We've just been buying recently. We talked about it. And ABB, another one we've been talking about recently. We've been buying. I think they also talked about DTL. And remember, these guys have got big clout, right? Big clouts, because a lot of people read this Livewire. So you always want to have a read to see what they say. Some of these movements are probably based on these sort of articles, right? Hub is another one we're following. Recently we've added, and 360, of course, we follow as well. The only one we don't like is Lavisa out of that. But anyway, that's interesting. All right. On that note, guys, I thank you so much for joining me. Have a great day. Careful trading. Remember, we've got that 10:30 tonight, so I would not be going gung-ho today. Maybe take a profit or two if you've got a nice big win, right, in a few days. You take a profit. Rather than that, you stick to the trend lines. It's fairly okay week this week. It hasn't been too crazy one way or the other. And yeah, basically see you tomorrow again. So thank you so much. Cheers.